All right, Phil Auerswald, George Mason, Kauffman Foundation, 10 minutes, timing now. I want to tell you a story that I hope you can bring back to your members and to your constituents about why what we're talking about here doesn't just matter, it matters more than anything you could conceivably be working on. So I'm an economist by training. You hear a lot from economists about sectors of the economy, okay? Energy sector, health sector, blah, blah, blah. Okay, there's only one sector you need to think about. From the time you leave this room, permanently, henceforth, think of the economy as only having one sector. It has the forest sector. That's it, okay? What do you have in the forest sector? Well, let's start with the canopy. Big trees, right? Most of the biomass is in the big trees. When you look from the sky, what do you see? Big trees, the canopy. Underneath the canopy, way down below, there's a lot of scrub. There's a lot more scrub than there are big trees, right? But they still matter. Big trees, scrub, okay? What makes a forest actually a living entity? It's those small trees that grow and become big trees. Do the big trees help the small trees grow? No, they're in the way. They're taking the sunlight. That's the point, right? You don't have a forest without small and growing trees, okay? Now, let's think about how we measure success in a forest. Do we measure it by the total amount of biomass, biodiversity, maybe the resilience of the forest? No, that's GDP, right? We could talk about business cycles. That's not what actually an economy is. No more than biomass is what a forest is. Okay, I've never been to the Amazon. I wish I had been. But look, we've watched enough National Geographic. We know what's going on down there. You don't measure the Amazon by the amount of biomass. It is alive. It is a living place. That's an economy. In economic ecosystems, though, there's one difference from a forest. In economic ecosystems, there's no such thing as an invasive species. So let's say we understand that there is only one sector in the economy. It's the forest sector. And let's say that we have a mentality that the forest that is the forest that we want forever into the future. We're going to protect the forest. We're going to hive it off and keep it safe from foreign influences. Now, you can do that. It's been tried. In fact, it's been done. Go to North Korea. Go to Burma. You can't go to East Germany anymore. That's done, right? Just see how they're doing. It doesn't work. Now, there's absolutely zero danger of the United States looking like North Korea. But do we want to look a little bit like North Korea? Just a tad like North Korea? No, we don't want to look anything like North Korea, right? We want to look like the United States of America. All right. Let's break out of the metaphor here. What's at stake? You work for your members are accountable to their constituents, they need to be reelected, the president wants to be reelected. There's a sense of unease. We have 9.1% unemployment in this country, which, by the way, is what they had in Western Europe for about 50 years. So, you know, so there's a sense of crisis. We're going to worry about jobs. We've got a jobs bill. This isn't about jobs. It's not about economic growth. This is about the role and relevance of the United States of America in the 21st century. That's what this conversation is about. Okay? If you think it's about jobs, tell that to your members, tell that to your constituents. Let's continue the near-term thinking that will make the next recession an actual depression. This is not bad. What we're experiencing is not bad. Absolutely mark my words. Anybody who compares this to the Great Depression is a fraud. In the 1930s, 1/3 of Americans didn't have toilets or electricity. The life expectancy in the United States in the 1930s was what it is in Ghana today. Okay? You cannot compare what we're experiencing now with the Great Depression. Forget it. This is a discomfort. The next thing could be a disaster. That's your job. That's your member's job, is the future, not next week. So this is not about jobs, and it's not about near-term growth. Now, are we in a period of slow growth? I mean, Tyler Cowen is my colleague at George Mason University. I highly regard him, and we've heard about other comments. There is nothing more parochial, nothing more, actually to me, depressing than to hear our current historical time period be characterized as an era of slow growth. Why? Because I lived in Beijing in 1986, and I have been back. I taught in Seoul at Seoul National University last summer. Okay? Just a little data point. The amount of change measured in per capita income increase, which I realize isn't a perfect measure, but for this purpose, it's not bad. The amount of change that a 65-year-old South Korean has experienced in their lifetime, in order to have had the same experience as an American, you would have had to be born in 1830. As a citizen of Great Britain, you would have had to be born in 1700. Okay? That's what, when you sit on the subway in Seoul and you see these crumpled up old ladies who are given deference, you know, on the subway, they're seated first. You know what? They should be seated first. They've seen 300 years of change in their lifetimes, judged on an English standard. Okay? This is the greatest era of change and opportunity in human history. Absolutely nothing comes close. The majority of the world's population is joining the global economy in our lifetimes. And if we hive ourselves off in our little box and say it's a miserable moment, then we have absolutely missed the core trend, not just of our lifetimes, in human history. That's sad. All right, so what are we going to do about it? I have a minute and 40 seconds left. We do what's on this list, right? We embrace the newest Americans. Immigrants are the newest Americans. That's all they are. They're our newest brothers and sisters. We embrace them not just because they create jobs here, not just because they create startups here, because they are our collaborative advantage in the 21st century. They are the partners for all those first robotics students that want to actually build products for the global majority. Where has growth come from in the last 20 years? Anybody paying attention? From previously poor places. Where will growth come from in the next 40 years? Anybody know? From previously poor places. There's no development. USAID, eliminate it. It's the National Agency of Economic Opportunity and Connection with the rest of the world. That's what we need. And guess who that is? That's our newest Americans. They are our collaborative advantage. It's not just a question of giving them visas. It's a question of inviting them to the White House every third week to show our gratitude. Giving them visas is just the beginning. Okay? Organize our national economic policy around entrepreneurs. We've talked about, and the last thing is put entrepreneurship and innovation at the heart of our national conversation every day. And I'm going to close with one very tangible thing. A quarter of a mile down the road, there's a building called the Arts and Industries Building. It's right next to the Smithsonian Castle. It has been empty since 2004. Okay? Nice property on the mall, empty for 7 years, United States of America. Can we do better than that? Yes. That was the first building constructed on the mall as an exhibition space. Guess what it housed? The 1876 Centennial Exhibition. New to the world, American entrepreneurship and innovation. The iPads and MacBooks of that time. It was only as a function of neglect that it became a museum. All the Secretary of the Smithsonian has to do is decide that we want to bring this building back to its original use and start to do something. Nation's Attic, forget about it. Nation's Workshop. Let's bring those first robotics kids down. Let's make that mall absolutely humming every day with the spirit of creativity and entrepreneurship and innovation. Let's make it a living testimonial to Steve Jobs. Let's not just whine about his being gone. Let's live up to his example. We can do this. There's 300 million people here. It's not just one guy. He had pancreatic cancer. It wasn't his fault. I'm totally serious about this. That's the way you build legacy. We have to, every one of us, do that. So I'm deadly serious about it. Don't just pass this. Reorient your lives as of today behind this cause, because there is no more important cause in the United States of America. A minute and 15 seconds over, I'm sorry.